Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, June 4th, and we are on the European account, and we need to get one more regular ranked, or not ranked actually, probably victory with the Hunter and Mage. I guess maybe if I was trying to waste time I'd try with the Mage, but I guess we could try a casual tempo mage game, but then we need to move on. Still got a ton of news. This is the third recording, and news is still a big issue, so let's just hop into it real quick. We have a game, ROA, Roa. It says rest or awake, and the O has a line on top of it. It says it's an adventure indie atmospheric colorful relaxing game. What it looks like to me is if somebody took some images and then is playing some major blurring filters over them. Just if you just use the blur tool in Photoshop over and over again, although some of the images seem to be slightly 3D and moving, but every single screenshot here looks like garbage because of it. And this game is 20% off for $2.39.
Job's done.
And the one review says, from my little time with ROA, I can't find any game at all. This is more like a piece of software created to give a very small visual experience. I found it a bit nauseating and repetitive, to be honest. I'm downvoted purely on the fact that while this could be a neat game, it is nowhere near complete. A cool visual effect does not make a game, and it's very debatable that this is cool. I would have been much more interested when or if the developers come up with a proper game. And then the next recommended review says, this is not a game. Let's make that clear right now. So the one positive review says it's not a game. The one negative review says it's not a game. Well, seriously, we don't need non-games on Steam, or if we are gonna have non-games on Steam, let's label them in a better way, so people are put them in a completely different category in the same way that video is in a different category. You may have noticed that I've never, or very rarely, have I run into a new video that's been put on Steam via the What's on Steam Twitter feed. So they're probably filtering out videos, or maybe Steam Video simply just does not get any new content ever. That might also be the case. PC Gamer has an article. State of Decay 2 just received a 20GB patch. It promises increased stability, less crashes, better network interactions, and more. State of Decay 2 is the undead zombie apocalypse survival from Undead Labs at Microsoft. And when did it come out? See, that's the weird part about this is, when did State of Decay 2 even come out? If 2 days ago it got a 20GB patch. Let's see. State of Decay 2 is on the Microsoft Store. Is it not on Steam? I guess that would explain why I don't know that it's out.
Push forward.
Let's keep going. State of Decay 2 Wikipedia. Let's see. It was released May 22, 2018.
Defend the gates.
It's got about a 70 on Metacritic. it's just not on Steam. That's the thing. It's on Windows 10 and Xbox One. I don't know why you would release a zombie survival game in limited release. That doesn't strike me as something that makes a good use of your
Push forward.
a good use of promoting that game. If State of Decay 2 was supposed to be the next PUBG, it needed to be on something like Steam so everybody could play it. If you're going to have, I would be much more understanding if things like Crackdown 3 only came to the Windows 10 store, but that too probably wouldn't work because they've already tried that with Quantum Dreams. Quantum something was a game that came out and wasn't very good. That was only on the Windows 10 store. Let's see, moving on. Gamatsu has an article, Limited Run Games E3 2018 press conference set for June 11th. A new company joins the press conference. Game Limited Run Games will host an E3 press conference on June 11th at 12 p.m. Which you can watch live by Twitter. Limited Run Games is a publisher of limited run physical games for PS4, PS Vita, and Switch. It works with independent publishers to release otherwise digital-only games in a physical format, albeit with limited productions. So it seems like that's almost certainly going to be a ton of Japanese games, visual novels, and things that would need small runs. I suppose dictated by what the Twitch, how Twitch works, and Twitch's own feed. Like, Twitch didn't really seem like it was going to focus on showing every stream. So this might be a good filler time slot if nothing else is going on. I don't know though. There is also a certain point where I may just very well leave the stream going with no commentary on it at all. I mean, it's still fair use at that point because it's an advertisement. Like, I don't think I really have to comment on a trailer, and there might be times where I just leave it going. So the thing I need to do here is 2 more victories. There's really not a desire in my mind to do the monster hunt all the way to the finish, but we'll just keep on playing and get victories this way. Let's see. There's this game apparently called Husky Express HD. I don't know if this really is a game though. Let's see. Like, all I got somehow was a YouTube video, and it's an animation of some huskies and some kind of people that seem to be like somewhat related to the game, but I think it's mostly huskies. This looks like it might be like a Game Boy game or something. Well, I really don't have any news here that I can talk about other than I'm just looking at a trailer of something called Husky Express HD trailer. So I hope there's more news to talk about on that. Moving on. PC Gamer has an article. Former Sony CEO and Epic Games team to fund PC first indie projects, looking to spend $1 million to $5 million per project. I think we've probably already talked about this interactive games ventures idea. It would be kind of cool, but it would also be totally insane if somebody like me, who really is way too out of touch with programming to be a programmer, and at best could be just an idea man, like manager, but would still need a manager above them to make sure everything actually got done. Like, somebody with barely an idea could get $1 million to make a game. I'd almost certainly race them. But heck, if we lived in a world where say every government gave people a grant, it's like, here's $1 million, go and try to make a video game. It'd be fun to see how much I could actually get done, how far I could go. Inherently, I know there's lots of things I couldn't do, otherwise I probably would have tried to make a game a long time ago. Sort of. I guess I did program at one point. I may have programmed a couple other games. Old basic, QBasic games things. But I certainly don't have any kind of artistic skill or ability, so that would be an issue.
Talk about a nice suit.
Let's go ahead and bump these guys up.
Hey, lights out.
Tango.
Moving on from that fantasy, PC Gamer has an article. Demolition Derby racer Wreckfest is leaving its 4-year early access stint this month. Subtitle is Start Your Engine. So the thing I wanted to point out here is 4 years of early access. Like, that is pretty insane. Wreckfest right now is rated very positive, 90% of 135 users in the past 30 days, whereas its overall rating is much lower in the mixed ratio, with 69% of 6,441 reviews being positive. So I imagine a lot of people were upset with them taking 4 years to make this game leave early access. And who knows, the way the review system works, it's kind of weird as far as whether or not any old review counts or not. I think they generally try to move the old reviews down and focus on the newer reviews that would be more relevant. Let's see. Here's an early access review posted May 6th. Too bad this game came out in such a rough form. Now with the April 2018 update, the game is 200% the game it was when it first was released in early access. Many won't give the game a second chance it greatly deserves. I suppose, from my perspective, I should just wishlist Wreckfest. And keep in mind it took them 4 years to get out of early access, and they've been selling it for 4 years. I don't know if maybe I have the wrong thought there. This is publisher THQ Nordic, by the way, so the only reason it may have come out at all is because THQ Nordic is publishing it. It's the only game from this developer. Maybe my perspective is skewed, but it gives me the feeling that if it took them 4 years of bringing in income to finally get the game out of early access, doesn't that really imply that they're going to just abandon the
Job's done.
abandon it right after they get out of early access? Kind of in the same way that Kerbal Space Program, for the most part, was abandoned after it came out of early access. Let's see. Moving on, we have a game called Border Closure. It's a Chinese-only game, and I don't know if this is a cheap Chinese knockoff of something, or if it's just a cheap Chinese game. Looks like an RPG Maker type game, but only in Chinese, so I don't really have to deal with it. Moving on. Let's see.
First kill.
Let's see. This is, I am pretty sure, a fake game. Looks like it's a fake game from a troll developer. Maybe that troll developer that they kicked off before. Let's see. This looks like a fake game, frankly, and it's selling itself hard like, no, it's not a fake game, it's just that we're really bad. So, you know what, either way you call it, this game, Little Gun Boys, BOIS, ain't up to snuff. It's just not a good quality product, so I would put it in the category of a very low effort game, and I'm gonna close it, whether it's a troll game or not. I don't need to waste my time deciding in my own opinion whether it's troll or not. There's too many games not worth considering to consider another game not worth considering. Next game we have is called Doomed, which is ambitious, certainly. The trailer has you running around hallways, and the graphics look like an 80s game, and this looks like it is just a attempt at making a Doom clone called Doom. Maybe you won't get sued calling your game Doom, but also it's certainly not going to stand up to the quality of the Doom reboot. $6.99 for this again. Apparently there's a software called FPS Creator I was not aware of, like RPG Maker. Anyways, again, a game not worth considering, so let's not consider it. Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Green Blood. It's a top-down twin-stick shooter, shooting monsters that are leaving green blood and dropping coins. Looks kind of like an arcadey thing. It's $9.90 with no discount, no reviews. Doesn't look awful, but I'm not sure it looks great either. The thing is, for a game like that, you almost have to give me a personal recommendation from somebody I at least partially trust, because the top-down twin-stick shooter genre is so flooded with bad product, and this could be a good product but very short. It's the only thing this developer's ever made. They're self-publishing, so I I can't even give green blood the time of day. It might be great, but until somebody else finds it and plays it and tells me, I'm not willing to give it a fair shake.
From the depths I come.
Let's see. Aw, I just lost. I could have won.
Job's done.
Too. Not paying attention. That's always a problem. Next game we have is a game called Tank Slam. It looks like a mostly asset flip game. Early access, $4.99. No reviews. That's all I need to see for Tank Slam. Next game is a game called In Memory of Titan. There's a movie on Netflix called Titan where they're doing experiments to modify humans so that they can live on Titan, the moon of Jupiter. And it really doesn't make any sense at all, because from the word go, they're going to have to do so many genetic modifications on the people that clearly they won't be human or even think like a human by the time they are capable of living on Titan. And at the end of the movie, that's pretty much exactly the case, is that the person that they did get on Titan is no longer human and no longer thinks like a human, so there's no connection there at all to save the rest of humanity. And then it really skips over the idea of what happened to Mars. Maybe the movie explained that and I just didn't catch it. But I think Mars would be a much better choice than living on Titan. This game, In Memory of Titan, is an early access RPG, indie casual strategy action game, which it's one of those space battle games that I'm not super a fan of. They're too complicated, there's too much blackness in the background. That's an odd thing to complain about, I imagine, but it is the case. English only, early access, 20% off for $19.99. I'm not seeing anything here that would make this the one space battle strategy game that you would want to play. I think a lot of these are probably based on board games where it would make more sense, or pen and paper games where it would make more sense. A different publisher than the developer, but neither one of them have done anything else. So let's close In Memory of Titan. Let's hit this, and this, and then hit this again.
Job's done.
And return. Next game we have is a game called Turn Up Genes, which is apparently an indie simulation, but it seems like this is some kind of joke game where there is a pants leg and a foot going one way across the screen, and you're just pointing in the direction that an arrow is pointing to turn up the pants leg, roll up the pants leg. So if this is not a joke, it's 99 cents for 52 achievements, so it's one of those achievement games. It's a very low effort product, just in the fact that there's no logic or story there behind it. And that's all I needed to do for the European account, so we can now move over to the Americas account. It's really getting ridiculous that they still have the ads for the Witchwood playing on the Battle.net launcher, it still says log in now and get a legendary card. It still says log in now and get three Witchwood card packs, which that was over a month ago that offering was happening. And once I had taken that offering, it should have disappeared and not been this thing that seems like it's kind of mocking or lying to me. I wouldn't say mocking, lying. So we got Druid and Rogue victories we need. Let's do this. Come over here. I'm gonna try some rank play. Druid would be this. Or Rogue would be Pirates. Let's try Pirates. Next game we have on Steam is called Trial of the Gods. It's a strategy action indie casual VR puzzle game. It's definitely a VR. It looks like it's a VR, almost escape the room game.
Valera versus Gul'dan.
Your soul shall be mine.
It requires VR. It's $19.99. It doesn't look terrible. Playing in a 3.3 meter by 3 meter space is highly suggested, but not necessary. Like, so it is kind of an escape the room. Yeah, even if it says at the beginning, escape from the ancient Egyptian tomb before time runs out. Not a bad idea. However, the first review says not recommended. The game is so incredibly broken it's downright unplayable. I don't know how anyone can release the game without even attempting to debug it. The game tells me I have the wrong hardware, yet I have a standalone Vive. Key items despawn and the game needs to be restarted and played from the beginning to fix it. The teleportation is atrocious. I requested a refund after 15 months of restarting the game 3 times and getting mad. Also, the one review so far, Brano has only ever written this review and the rest of his account is private. Be wary. So, accusations against other writers of reviews of being involved with the developer, I guess, is the accusation there, or review accusations of review manipulation. All-time peak of 2 people playing. That's a shame because Trial of the Gods looks kind of good too. But I'm not going to wishlist a broken game now in the hopes that it's not a broken game in the future. The idea certainly makes sense though. It's like have an escape room in a Egyptian tomb and try and solve the puzzles. This game, I will say, goes in kind of a ghostly way in which there's these skeletons flying around. I don't think that was particularly necessary. I don't think that's a needed direction to take it. I prefer my Egyptian mystery and mysticism to be slightly hinted at but easily explained away too. I don't want it all to be 100%. Yes, this is all magic.
Possibilities.
I don't know why that is though. Like, it should just, in my head, it should be perfectly fine if somebody wanted to tell a story why it was all Egyptian magic all along. I think inherently a lot of that may have to do with like Yu-Gi-Oh, where Egyptian magic was the excuse for a lot of things, and it was kind of just this added on element that didn't I think, add anything to the story, nor was it really the main focus, because the cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Were the main focus. So, I don't know. When I think Egyptian, I think the Mummy movie series in particular, and a lot of game shows have done it. Anyways, moving on, PC Gamer has an article. Evolve is shutting down its dedicated service and free-to-play branch in September. The 2015 shooter never lived up to the hype. Evolve was one of the first 4 versus 1 multiplayer shooters that they spent a lot of money on, and people did not ever make any money. In September, dedicated service will stop running, which means no more ranked play, no more leaderboards, and no more in-game store. At the same time, Evolve's Stage 2, the free-to-play branch of the game, will shut down entirely. Players will keep any DLC content they've paid for, such as monsters and skins and hunters. You'll still be able to play it, but only through a peer-to-peer matchmaking in Legacy Evolve, which is the original version of the game. Stage 2 became the main version after it launched.
You will be missed.
Legacy Evolve contains Quick Play, which features all game modes other than ranked play, as well as custom games and evacuation mode, where you can play a series of 5 games as either a monster or a hunter. You'll also be able to play still against AI opponents. AI opponents may be the only people actually playing the game. While Evolve won't be fully dead, it'll be on its last legs. It's a shame, really. So, I don't know, like, when you have a 2015 shooter that had some quirks, certainly, there was a lot of bandwagging for that 4 versus 1 asynchronous gameplay was the big keyword for a while, and that pushed a lot of people. But maybe this is a valid warning to Borderlands 2, like, Borderlands 3. Maybe the story Gearbox should take away from this is that now is not the time to release Borderlands 3, because first-person shooters are not doing as well as they used to. I think that's probably the wrong message, but you know, Destiny's not doing too hot either. Battleborn didn't work. Overwatch is making alright money, but there's certainly a lot of them that aren't. Okay. Here we have a completely obviously troll game, so I don't need to talk about this. Let me just look at this developer, see how many games they've flooded Steam with so far. Just a couple. So there's still some other developers that... So maybe Gearbox is right. Maybe they are doing the right thing by waiting and timing the release of the next Borderlands series in a place where it won't be around Battlefront or Battlefield games, because that's too many first-person shooters. I think the asynchronous gameplay is the main issue, though. Like PUBG and Fortnite still are first-person shooters or third-person perspective shooters. There really isn't too much difference in the camera angle there. It's the shooter part. So maybe it's not the shooting, maybe it's the asynchronous gameplay, and I guess in general asynchronous gameplay is not something that's ever going to work. Even Nintendo, who kind of introduced that idea with the Wii U and the one player having a tablet and everybody else just having waggle sticks, they totally got away from that with the Switch. Now if 2 players are using Joy-Cons, they are doing the same thing on the Joy-Con and sharing one screen. Let's see, do I want these guys dead or alive? Let's see. 2, 4, 6, and I failed.
2 orbs. 2 orbs.
Job's done.
Yeah, I just totally boned that. That was a waste. PC Gamer has an article, which game series are you burned out? Our personal choices include Far Cry to King's Quest. Tell us yours. Let's see if we have the full list here. Somebody, Samuel Roberts, I'm going to just name these people as if anybody knows who they are. Says Call of Duty. Jody McGregor says The Walking Dead. Fair enough, but The Walking Dead is also on the way out. Austin Wood says Far Cry. I don't see... I guess I can see why you'd be burned out of Far Cry, particularly if you played Far Cry 3, 4, and was there a Far Cry Prime 2? But the latest Far Cry did a lot of effort to make it not be a burnout scenario, and people didn't like it for other reasons. It really didn't deserve. I played that out of order too. It really didn't get all the credit it deserved for the elements that Far Cry went through. Just Cause series is so similar to Far Cry. Chris Livingston says Just Cause, that I can understand that. Andy Chalk says King's Quest. I don't understand what you even mean with that, though. Like, there was the reboot of the King's Quest series, and then kind of nothing. So you're burnt out with old games from the 80s? Like, get serious. How could you be burnt out on them? Did you just recently play them all? Let's see. I guess this person, as I'm kind of reading, says they've also played Space Quest, Police Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, and most of the rest too. And I never felt the urge to go back. To be fair, I don't know if you call that burnout, though, in the case of a text-based parser or point-and-click adventure game. Like, you play that game once, and then you move forward. There's never been a real thought that you were going to actually play those kinds of games twice in a lifetime, even.
No survivor.
Because once you've done the story, you've done the story. And sure, I've played some of the Monkey Island games twice, but I don't think I'm burned out with them just because I don't want to play them a third time. Most games, I wouldn't consider being burnt out with them just because I don't want to play the game a second time. Tom Sr. says Assassin's Creed. I think that's, again, wrong, because we have with Assassin's Creed Origins a complete reboot, so all the burnout of the old series is being addressed very well. There is this hint, though. There's been a leak for Assassin's Creed the Odyssey, which will be called Assassin's Creed Odyssey, not the Odyssey. It seems like they're not sticking to the taking it slow and releasing a game every 2 years, unless the Odyssey turns out to be a side game like Assassin's Creed India or Russia or China. If it's a side-scrolling 2.5D game, that's fine, but if this is the beginning of a teaser of moving Origins, of making the sequel to Origins, you're not really following what you said you were going to do with taking your time. And there is something definitely to be said about companies not lying to you about their release schedule, or not lying to you in general. James Davenport says Resident Evil 7. And while I do think this back half of Resident Evil 7 kind of just played up the same old cliches of Resident Evil, the first half was greatly ingenuitive and new. And so a Resident Evil 8 that was all the first half of Resident Evil 7 I'd be perfectly fine with, and I don't think there's much burnout there. They should just take their time, you know, release one either this Halloween or next Halloween, or even the Halloween after that, and I'm fine. It's kind of funny how I'm saying I'm not burned out on so many games when I think most people might be able to make an argument that you're totally burned out. Like, I do. Like, I'm having a struggle playing Borderlands 2. I'm 4 hours into it. I struggled playing Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. I've struggled to play a considerable number of games ever since January happened, and I was kicked out of the YouTube partner program. That inherently changed the feeling of the whole project, the whole channel, and added negativity that shouldn't have been added. Jared Walton says Might Magic. I can certainly see being burnt out on Might Magic, particularly if you played them all. Like, the Heroes of Might Magic series is incredibly long. If I was to ever cover it, which maybe I should want to cover it, maybe I will one day, it is just going to be a fast dash through the main story and none of the side missions, and even doing the main story will be probably very slow, so I might have to do some editing even at that point. Like, I could see myself, if my channel grew to the point where I had an editor, me playing Heroes of Might Magic in the background, making a lot of footage, and then making an editor cut and paste out all of the slow parts. We got a game on Steam called Tap RPG Homeland. Let's see how many achievements it is. No achievements. Interesting. Let's see. It says action adventure RPG indie casual. It's the first in the Tap RPG series, showcasing a unique style of RPG gaming. Classic top-down overworld map looking into 2D side-scrolling hack and slash. You get your hero automatically runs across the levels, but defeating the enemies is not that easy. So it looks to me like this might be a cell phone port. I don't like the graphics on this game. I can say that much. I don't like the interface on this game. I can say that much.
Here we go. Too soon.
It's $1.99, and it looks like it's kind of weird to try and say that this is a new groundbreaking way to play a game, but it is kind of the combination of a top-down RPG and a tap fighter, a tap hack and slash, whatever you would call that. I guess that kind of is a new concept. But because it's not visually appealing, Tap RPG Homeland doesn't catch my attention, so probably will never play it. TechRaptor has an article on Nutaku's latest RPG, Pocket Fantasy, available on PC and Android. The name of the game is Pocket Fantasy, Nutaku being the adult oriented video game store. TechRaptor, I'm pretty sure, has a sponsorship agreement type thing with Nutaku. That's why they specifically seem to be covering Nutaku more than I've seen seen other people.
Here we
Like,
go.
I've never heard PC Gamer talk about Nutaku except for in a few rare instances. As far as this game, Pocket Fantasy, right? Well, the few
I'm out of
pictures.
cards.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, at the bottom it says disclosure. Nutaku provides perks for TechRaptor members, and TechRaptor participates with an affiliate linking program with Nutaku. Some of the links in this article are affiliated. I think I'll probably eventually stop talking about Nutaku because they don't release enough games and they're not in a position really. What needed to happen with Nutaku is kind of what instead happened with Good Old Games, and where it looks like the creators of good sexual games that are on Steam are going to Good Old Games or perhaps somewhere else. If they had all decided they were going to Nutaku, and then there was hundreds potentially of visual novels that were kicked off Steam that went to Nutaku, giving it a huge boost, I could see a reason to publish it. But right now it seems like they personally are just self-publishing 2 or 3 games a month, and they need to grow before anything else happens. Here we've got the Gamatsu E3 streaming press conference list. Let's see if there's anything different here. Well, they've got more talk of like the what's on the show floor, and it's on Gamatsu oriented and listed in this article a little bit better. Let's see. And they're filling in their article saying, we think this is going to be announced here, this is going to be announced here. Kind of doesn't even matter what they think. Ooh, Bayonetta 3 at the Nintendo conference, they're thinking. Well, that would be slightly interesting. But I'm not going to stream Nintendo. I'm not even going to probably watch Nintendo. Yeah, I suppose that by the time I'm streaming Monday for Hearthstone, everything will be known that is known. GameSpot will be doing its thing, IGN will be doing its thing, Twitch will be doing its thing, Mixer will be doing its thing, YouTube will be doing its thing. Whatever those things actually are, who cares? And for most of them. Is it called the Nintendo Treehouse still, or is it called the Nintendo Direct? I thought it was the Nintendo Direct now. PlayStation blog. Okay. So, they've got a big list of games here. Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Destiny 2, Fallout 76, Rage 2, The Sinking City, V-Rally 4, Warhammer 40k, Inquisitor Murder,
Our witch shall never end.
Let's see, Metroid Exodus, Serious Sam 4, Anthem, Battlefield 5, FIFA 19, A Plague Tale, Innocence, Call of Cthulhu, Farming Simulator, Fear the Wolves, Greedfall, Insurgency, Sandstorm, Necromunda, Underhive Wars, never heard of that one, Space Hulk, Tactics, Spin Tires, Mud Runner, The Surge Complete Edition, The Surge 2, and Vampire, We Happy Feud, Call of the Guardians, Galaxy Z, Arcade Islands Volume 1, Heavy Fire, Red Shadow, Sweet Home, Pool Elite, Super Smash Brothers, Strange Brigade, Days Gone, Death Stranding, Dreams, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, Spider-Man, Dragon Quest X 11, Dragon Quest 11 Echoes of the Exclusive Age. Let's see.
Job's done.
Kingdom Hearts 3, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Beyond Good and Evil 2, yeah, right. The Crew 2, For Honor. For Honor apparently is getting released on consoles. Was it not on consoles? Skull and Bones, Starlink Battle for Atlas, Tom Clancy's The Division 2 Transfer, and that's all they got. So there's a lot of to be announced and not talked about yet as far as games, which isn't hyper surprising.
Here we go.
I'm wondering if I'm gonna, if the thing here that I'm still running into is I think I'm gonna have to get rid of one of my plugins to make the other plugin work, because this plugin is just not stopping duplicate tabs, and I really need it to do that, just to save space. The other thing is I'm working on the calendar, and I think I've almost got it ready. I've got it set up. I just need to get it so it sets the alarms past the point in which an average person would have their phone automatically sync with the calendar. So I'm thinking maybe as much as 15 minutes in the future. So a video would come out, it would be tweeted about, it has to go through the Twitter sadly, and then I've got a if then then that, if this then that applet that I made to take the tweet, which means sometimes when I tweet something or else, that too will show up on the calendar. Apologies for that. It won't be too much. It's going to take the time that tweet came out, add maybe as much as 15 minutes to that, and make an alarm, which would mean that if you're trying to catch live, you're still not really catching live, but you'd be catching 15 minutes later, which isn't the worst ever, but it's certainly not great. But I think that's probably about as much as the calendar can have to do. I'm not sure how many people are ever going to use the calendar, but notifications are just not working anywhere right now, and I want to add yet another place where people can be notified of when videos are coming out. Inherently, we know notifications are not working. Linus Tech Tips made an interesting argument. I don't know if I fully agree with them, that whatever YouTube is doing seems to instead of whatever YouTube is doing to manipulate the subscription feed and promote videos, made up for the fact that they didn't publish one of their games, one of their videos to people, and thus people did get the notification. So for a big channel like Linus Tech Tips, YouTube is just kind of decided to show his video to random people anyways, even if they didn't subscribe. So he got the same amount of views regardless, which inherently just says that YouTube is cheating for big channels to make them more successful. Meanwhile, it's screwing over everybody else, which is exactly what I would have assumed was the case anyways. Okay.
Here
So
we go.
This and we'll do this and well, Should have played that first. That was dumb. Moving on, PC Gamer has an article. New Vegas prequel mod Fallout New California gets an October release date. A brand new story with 12 endings. I don't know why anybody is holding your breath or announcing this, because almost certainly it's just going to get DMCA'd. There is also rumor that Fallout 76 will not allow mods at all except for through the Creation Club. Therefore, they want to cut for any mod, and thus I imagine they're also going to push people heavily to not make free mods. Let's see. 3 damage to kill something. Alright, we'll do this. And then this.
The pirate's code.
And
Here we
I
go.
guess we'll kill this in return. So yeah, I seriously doubt it will come out. If it does, oh well. I heard of a mod where you can play Fallout 3 in the Fallout 4 engine, which might improve a little bit. It's an interesting idea. I think more and more as I'm thinking about it, though I'd much prefer to play out Fallout New Vegas over Fallout 4, and I'd probably still prefer to play Fallout New Vegas over Fallout 3. And depending on what Fallout 76 is, I think that will also help solidify determinations as far as
Desperate seas I roam.
whether or not the game is worth people's time. Okay.
Here we go.
I'm gonna hit this, do this, and then play this. Finally do this.
Dead, tell no tale.
I'm going to
Let
kill
me
this,
go home.
and then attack here, and then return. PC Gamer has an article. As sexual content on Steam has threatened developers look elsewhere. This was filmed 3 days ago, but I don't think this article really has anything new to say. It seems like maybe a few more companies have responded to PC Gamer's request to be interviewed, but inherently there's not been any new developments on this story. There is a cut content police curator group on Steam that I've followed to show games that are on Steam but have cut content. I imagine that's what the games they're recommending or maybe not recommending. There is speculation certainly that Steam's application to have the Steam app on Apple iOS may have been part of the reason why they sent out those letters, but then since they have now given up on that, it's more likely that oops, that was stupid.
No survivors.
Let's just kill this.
Here we go. Not you soon.
I'm losing here. People spectating now, so people are seeing me lose. Yeah. Like, we still have no response there. Did the potential kicking out of games of visual novels on Steam have something to do with them trying to get approved on iOS, now that it's been made pretty clear that Apple won't let him on iOS? Does that change anything or make anything make a difference? sadly, so often in news, you get the beginning and you never get the end. This is probably going to be one of those games. One of those situations. Here's one of those games called ROS that's just about achievements, so I'm going to just close it since it's just a fake game. PC Gamer has a new an article about the new trailer for Battle Princess Madeline, the game quote-unquote co-created by a 7-year-old. That's not really true. Basically, all this game is Ghosts and Goblins. Effectively, it's not Ghosts and Goblins from, like, it's not a shot-for-shot remake of Ghosts and Goblins with a female protagonist, but it's just that, or Ghouls and Ghosts, whichever ones you want to call it. The father in this Kickstarter, this disingenuousness here. The father was a programmer from the beginning. The father was working on trying to make a Kickstarter and trying to make a project. He took the fact that maybe, just maybe at one point, his daughter asked him why he can't play as a female, and then went rah feminism and tried to get people to fund this game. And it has worked at least a little bit in the fact that it is getting PC Gamer, which are pretty rah feminism and other things, I'm sure, into covering a game that really doesn't deserve to be covered because it's not out. It has no release date. It has no guarantee whatsoever that it should be that it'll ever come out. It does have a Steam website, so I can watch it, I can wishlist it, and the game itself might be programmed well and done well. So when the game comes out, I'm more than willing to criticize Battle Princess Madeline, or Battle Knight Madeline. What is the name of it? Battle Princess Madeline. I think inherently there's, if you're trying to go for equality here, you don't have the princess as the knight in the game. You have a knight, so it should be Battle Knight Madeline.
Here we
but because I can't off the top of my head think of any game where you play as the knight who is actually the king. Maybe Heroes of Might and Magic, you play as the king, controlling the troops, but then you're usually in the back not fighting. So yeah, you're still pandering to some princess stereotypes that girls quite often are socialized to at an extremely young age. The whole pink aisle in the toy department argument, which more and more it's not a pink aisle, but it's still kind of the same thing. Like, a great example is that, are Nerf guns for little boys or little girls or everybody? There's really no reason why Nerf guns shouldn't be for everybody, or nobody, depending on whether you want your kids playing with toy guns. But there was a whole series of Nerf Rebels that were specifically designed Nerf guns for girls that were pinker and just like silliness.
Here we go.
Job's done.
So moving on, there's a game on Steam called Trap Defense. It looks like garbage. It's early access for 59 cents with 40% off. That's easy enough to ignore. Moving on. Next game we have is called 3-2-1 Survive. It looks like garbage. It's 99 cents with no discount. Moving on. Like yeah, this is kind of an asteroids clone. Next game we have is called Intelligence: Anime Girls, which is a tile slider puzzle game with some anime girls as the pictures. It's 35% off for $1.29, which certainly it seems like they think they can charge you extra if they throw in some anime characters. Yeah, it has 12 achievements, which makes me think there's only 12 puzzles in the entire game. Let's see. So that's garbage too. Next game we have is called Witch Hunt, which is rated very positive, 90% of 98 user reviews. It's an early access adventure action gore game, and it's a horror themed hunting game. It takes place in the 18th century. Main focus of the game is exploration, non-linearity, and atmosphere. So you're wandering around the creepy forest, and it is kind of like, I guess, a Blair Witch idea, except for the fact that I think there's probably, you're actually hunting a witch because you have a couple of guns. So this is clearly just one of those Unity games. You're actually having to reload the guns with gunpowder and bullets from like entire reload animations. This trailer is interesting. It's English, Russian, and simplified Chinese, but I don't know. Give me something to ignore this game, because otherwise I'm gonna have to wishlist it. It has 96 positive reviews, so there's some major vote manipulation if there's that many positive reviews to 10 negative reviews. The first not recommended says I have mixed feelings on this game. It has great atmosphere and it's very spooky, walking through the woods and hearing a bunch of startling noises. However, the game itself revolves around hunting a witch in the forest. The witch is apparently invisible unless you have mana. Unfortunately, your mana depletes itself if you are close to the witch, and depletes faster the closer you get. In my experience, this essentially means you have 30 seconds or less to track down and kill the witch before your mana runs out. Your heartbeat and mana tells you when you're getting close, but it's no indication of which direction you should be going. When it runs out, the witch is completely invisible and unkillable. And then the next not recommended says lacking content makes for boring gameplay. Let's see. This and this.
Here we go.
Did that. I was really stretching to find a reason to not like this game, and I think I found it. The other games made by this developer are all mixed, and that's more of a... Oh, this is also the developer that made that game Gynophobia, which is the weird spider game, spider/woman phobia. So that Jim Sterling covered, so I could also see why there's more people promoting this than there should be. Yeah, I'm gonna ignore Witch Hunt. It's not quite a game in its gameplay mechanic, and that's what kills it.
Desperate seas I roam.
The pleasure is mine.
Let's do this.
Let
and
me
kill
go
this.
home.
End the turn. Next game we have is called Open the Door. It looks like a low effort asset flip of a game. English and simplified Chinese, 99 cents, so the price is right. Let's see. 3 positive reviews, 0 negative reviews, which doesn't mean anything. Yeah, the random assortment of 3D elements that, to be fair, look alright. It looks kind of like you're in this a set up game show room in some of them. It screams low effort though. So unless this developer made something else, which they haven't, I'm gonna open the door as a game. I think I may have even talked about that game already.
The pleasure is mine.
Let's do this.
Here we go.
Do this. And let's go ahead and end the turn right there. And we already talked about Trial of the Gods, which gets me to the Humble Monthly Bundle. And latest bundle is Arma 2018 bundle.
Well played.
Let's see, we're about to die, right? Yep. So we're in a bad position. We're 12 minutes over an hour. And I've got a lot of things on Twitter to look through, because I didn't do that first pass on Twitter, and I desperately need to get at least 1 victory today, if not 2, if not 5. So I need to roll this down to this, and I mean, there's really nothing else I can do. If I try to play Beast 5 Plus on the Druid, I'm gonna lose even more. It really is time to get rid of these decks and build a new deck. Maybe we'll do that during the E3 stream, and then I'll just, in the background as I'm doing nothing else, maybe I'll rebuild all my decks in Hearthstone, because hsreplay.net's not working for me. Alright, so now I'm going down my Twitter feed once I'm done. Here E3 is saying win a 3-day pass to E3. Really? How many people could even enter that? You'd have to be pretty much within driving distance of Las Vegas. See, the WB Games Hitman announcement on June 7th is Hitman 2, which, okay. The question now kind of becomes, is Hitman 2 going to be like Hitman 1, where it's just this year of expansions, or is Hitman 2 going to be a very single player linear story based thing, and was Hitman in some weird way an attempt to break away from Square Enix? Like, was the weird way in which Hitman 1 released piecemeal an effort to break away from Square Enix? Let's see. THQ announces that Red Faction Guerrilla the remastered edition release date. I don't know why you're getting in front of EA with that. I guess maybe THQ Nordic thinks they have more to say. Which maybe they do, maybe they don't. Warframe's next game expansion is less than a month away, according to PC Gamer. There's a game called Awkward now on Steam. We don't need to talk about that now. We'll talk about that on Wednesday.
So many possibilities.
NBN chief blames poor peak hour internet on gamers. Will consider throttling them. Australians' crap internet in regional areas is your fault. Interesting. So, the person in charge of the internet in Australia is blaming people. Sounds like a regular AT&T type company. Let's see. Next article we have from Game of Switch reporting iOS games to macOS should be easier next year, says Apple. Yeah, it should be easier because of the fact that they're making them compatible, but it also means that macOS's store is going to get flooded with terrible iPhone games that you really wouldn't want to play on macOS. Let's see, here's what we think after a few hours of Far Cry 5's Hour of Darkness DLC. So Far Cry 5 has got some DLC out there.
X marks the spot.
Here we
It is really weird every now and then hearing what I assume is Borderlands 2 playing music in the background, and it has to be. It's just this really, really quiet instrumental string section that people are gonna hear and be like, what is that? Let's see. Let's keep on scrolling down. The creators of Darksiders 2 and some other people are liking my videos for covering Darksiders 2, which is great and all, but the actual number of views that YouTube says people have watched that series have been 0. So they're liking a tweet, but they're not even watching it. So like, my target audience is not the actual creators of the video games, although it is very, very nice when creators of video games do watch my content and listen to my criticism and maybe even learn from it. But inherently it tells me that there is no connection between Twitter and people liking a tweet to a YouTube video and people actually watching a tweet, watching a YouTube video. Let's see, Game of Switch UK ad regulator hits out at gambling sites with game ads that particularly appeal to children. Let's see. I think what I'm gonna have to do is stream. I think I'm gonna have to scroll down really far. 6 hours ago, Full Throttled Remastered Episode 4 happened on my channel, by the way.
Will be missed.
Let's see, Unreal Engine retweeted PC Games in. How do you update Left 4 Dead for modern day? That is an interesting idea, certainly. I set it up so that my Twitter feed wouldn't ever get suspended, and that didn't seem like that really did anything. And I looked in the settings of Twitter and double checked, and yes, all of my feed is supposed to be in chronological order, but it's not. Like 2 hours ago, Hearthstone number 914 airs. Gigabyte is interestingly selling these. They look like they are sticks of RAM for your motherboard that have LEDs that change color on the top, but they don't have any actual RAM in them, and I'm not even sure how it works, frankly. But It's working somehow. But yeah, that's like kind of a crazy idea to have a stick of a piece of plastic that goes in your RAM slot that lights up, but is an actual RAM, just to make it look pretty. I wonder if the colors just phase through different colors, or if there's some kind of way, some kind of software can communicate with them. I imagine there's some kind of way the software communicates with them. I've never been one, though, that really likes to decorate computers and make them flashy like that. I'd much prefer just well, frankly, I prefer to keep the products. Let's do this. And this. Might as well, I'm going to die anyways. And then
here we go.
Do this. TechRaptor has Vampire VAMPYR review, so that'd be interesting for Wednesday. I think I've hit the point where Mega Man 11 for Switch is digital only in Europe. THQ's Red Faction Gorilla Remaster is out in July. So Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition Episode 5 aired 4 hours ago on my channel. Just weird mix, still very weird mix. PC Gamer Windows server versus network attached storage, which is better for a home server? That's an interesting question. Like, the solutions to get network attached servers or run some other kind of servers are not very polished in any of the cases. So there's definitely some weirdness.
Here we go with taunt is in the way.
Arg. PC Gamer has a Bloodstained Curse of the Moon review. I bet they love it. If I'm just gonna risk a guess. Well, almost done. I know we're 23 minutes over, but I recently was able to break up and upload all of my Hearthstone videos for the past month or so, and every single stream I went over at least 20 minutes on that final recording. So I'm not sure that inherently changes anything or makes any problem, but it does scream some issues of my inability to get things done in the amount of time I want to get things done.
This was not in my contract.
Here we go.
Let's keep on scrolling. And of course I'm scrolling past a lot of stuff I have already seen. I didn't follow new people, so it seems a little odd that there's so few tweets from what's on Steam, but that could have also been just a factor of maybe not too many people have decided to release games the week before E3. Or it could be a factor of it being Monday, and because it's Monday, a lot more news has come out. in the end, I'm just gonna have to get all the way down to the bottom like every other time to make sure I've seen everything I can possibly see. I'm debating whether, when I get around to buying a new SSD, whether I should buy a 1 terabyte SSD that would have more space for games, or if I should take my half terabyte SSD I have now and just buy a faster version of that. This. This. That. Return. It might be better to just have a faster SSD, and then I could record videos directly to the old SSD and then have the games run off the other one in the hopes that that would be slightly faster.
Forged in blood and shadow.
Ideally, I'd want a bigger SSD that is also faster, just to move every metric up, but the price is very high. More than is, I think, reasonable. And of course, I also need more regular hard drive space. My file history hard drive that's been a backup to a backup of my footage is full. Meanwhile, YouTube is saying they're going to delete the original versions of videos, yet they've given no indication whatsoever as to how you can download those originals or save them to something else. So YouTube is just more and more trying to delete people's videos, literally. I'm just losing like crazy. I don't even want to do silent post shows anymore. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of me this weekend. So I know that there's things that need to be done. Definitely at least one daily quest, one victory needs to be had, and we're not getting it right now, which always sucks. I very rarely get winning streaks and very often get losing streaks. And I'm in a losing streak right now. If I can just try to very quickly continue scrolling down and hit the bottom. Is that it? Nope. So I need a victory in the Asian account, and I need one victory with the Druid or Rogue, 2 victories with anything, and then after we've gotten 2 victories with anything, I could play 3 games in Monster Hunt, or to get the others. And let's see, I'm just trying to really scroll down as quickly as possible. I should be at the end, close to the end. Maybe it's my ad blocker is part of the issue. Maybe my ad blocker is really just screwing up Twitter and putting things out of order. I looked for a plugin that would set Twitter back into a chronological order. It doesn't seem like there is any. Alright, made it to the bottom. And yes, Gunfire Games liked my video like they've done for everyone, so I appreciate that. Alright, that's gonna be it for the stream. It's been a very quiet one as far as the chat. And so, did I get any notification today of my video coming out? I don't think so. I think that's pretty much never happening now. I'm gonna go and check some settings just to double check that, but because let's see. Basic information. It's like advanced settings. Nobody was on the chat. Let's see. And let's scroll down here. Like, I don't even see that there. They've changed it. It seems. There's this new category under this called promotions that I think is the new way of doing things. Alright. That's good to know that YouTube has changed something yet again. Let's see if this is the same on uploaded videos. Ah, yes, there is under now a category called distribution options. Publish this to subscription feeds and notify subscribers, and then there's a question mark that will probably say, actually, no, we don't do that. Weird Monday. I'd say definitely, yeah, I did get any kind of notification that was happening, that I was streaming at all today. Thanks a lot, YouTube. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. If you want to support me even further, because we all know YouTube isn't, gift me a game on Steam or a gift card. The summer sale is coming up pretty quickly here. As always, thanks for watching. Have a good evening.